Hey everyone, how's it going? So what am I working on now? I got a 2020 Chevy Equinox, and the customer's complaint is the service brake assist will come up on the dashboard. So I didn't think this was going to turn into much of a video, but I want to show you something here. So I scanned it for codes, and then I took it for a ride. And I took it for a ride, never had any issues with it. I wound up clearing the codes, but I got two codes that keep returning, and I'm not quite sure the reason for it. But let me show you something what I got here. When I scanned it and I created the report, this is what I wound up with. So here, lost communication, invalid data, control module power circuit, invalid data, battery voltage, short to ground, we're not worried about that. Keyless entry transmitter battery, we're not worried about that. Lost communication with electronic brake control module. Let's see, for the radio we got a couple of weird codes there. Invalid data received from body control module, you see that. All right, a lot of times when you get stuff like data type codes, voltage type codes, lost communication type codes, a lot of times it's a bad battery, believe it or not. Most of the times. I can't say for certain it's going to be like that every time, but that happens an awful lot. So what I did was I had actually cleared all these codes out, and two codes keep coming back. Let me show you what those codes are. So let's go back here, and let me just make sure. All right, view report. Lost communication with inflatable restraint module, that's the airbag. And invalid data received from the body control module, that's for the front view camera. But nothing else has codes in it. So there again, it could be a voltage related issue, might not be. But that's usually where I start, because a lot of times it's like, where the heck do you start looking at something like this? And just, you know, from doing this over the years, you tend to see patterns and kind of know where things start. So let's actually go and test the battery. Obviously I've already done that, but let me just show you what we got. So here we go, the battery's under here, and it's a 48 AGM. So we're gonna go to battery check. Okay, and it's a 12 volt system. We're going to do an in-vehicle test. I'm going to do a battery test. And it's an AGM flat plate. We're going to use cold cranking amps. We're going to use 700. So, battery's no good. So that's where you have to start. In a situation like this, this is where you have to start. Could there be other issues? Absolutely. But if you have a weak battery, you could be chasing your tail trying to figure out things that are going wrong. So we're going to start there, and we're going to see what actually happens. Will it clear those two codes, those two remaining codes? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But we have to start with the battery. And then if those codes come back, then I got to look up and see what they are. But communication codes, not my favorite to deal with. Sometimes you have to. But they're U codes, not P codes or C codes. P is powertrain, C is chassis. So just so you're aware. All right, so let's do that. Let's get a battery coming for, or let's find out first if the customer wants to change the battery, because the car starts fine. It starts absolutely fine. I just drove it. But obviously the battery's no good. All right, let's see what the customer wants to do, and we're going to go from there. So the new battery arrived, and before you install a new battery, check it. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've gotten brand new batteries that are no good. It happens. What are you going to do? Whoops. That's not what I wanted, but what are you going to do? Okay, it comes to life. And the battery's perfect. Okay, so that's it. So now we're just going to replace it. So there should be really no big deal, I hope. Let me go get some tools, and then we can change this. Get you in a good position here. At least hopefully a good position. That looks good, right? All right, let me get some tools. Now it appears that everything should be pretty much 10 millimeter. Now there's the positive terminal over here. Now, what am I doing wrong? I'm on the positive terminal. Okay, I did that on purpose so you could see something. Now the reason I want you to disconnect the negative is because, let's say I had a wrench or whatever and I ground it out. Now this is all plastic, but let's say I ground it out somehow over to the strut tower, then I'm going to cause a major problem. So that's why they want you to disconnect negative first. There's really no other reason. So if you have a situation where you have to disconnect positive first, just be careful. That's all. You're not going to hurt anything unless you ground it out. GM does some wickedly weird stuff here. See that whole contraption there? Gonna have to figure out how this whole thing comes off of it, because I'm not even 100% positive myself. Because we got a wire to the back here, got a wire to the front here. These are 13s. I don't even know how this is held down. It's the first time I'm ever replacing one in one of these. So let me undo this. Right here. Okay, let's, sometimes you gotta figure stuff out. It's not that big a deal. I may not have even needed to take this one off, I don't know. But I figure at this point, I may as well take it off. Make my life a little bit easier. Or at least try to. I actually got to split that terminal open a little bit. Because it is just not opening up. It's like one of those early 3D movies. Ooh, remember that? A bunch of guys my age know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, she just does not want to release. Put you back in the holder here. Maybe I can zoom you in a little bit. Maybe that'll help. Not that you can really see what I'm doing. You get the general idea. Wow, it's a lot of work for just that. Alright, so what holds this whole contraption in place? I don't even know. Somehow snaps down around the battery. Yep. Okay. And then I'm going to want to disconnect. There's a wire connector here. We're going to disconnect that. Pretty complicated for such a simple or out in the open battery. If you ask me, it doesn't need to be this difficult. Alright, so now have all the hold downs. cozy on it. Let's hit the cozy one first. All right. And that appears to be the original battery. So a new one goes in place just like that. Now we're going to snap this back down in place like that. I have this connector back here. This is what I was disconnecting before. It goes for the battery sensor there. Okay. Stay like that. Okay. Now we can put this wire here. I think I only had to disconnect this one. I could probably left this one and the terminal come off easy enough, but it didn't. Saw how much I had to fight with the darn thing. Okay, that's all in place. Just knock the cover off. So now we can tighten up the positive. Gotta go bananas. Make sure I can cover up that fuse. That fuse wasn't covered up before. And then we can put the negative on. Okay. Just like that. A lot of people are going to say, oh, why don't you spray the terminals? It doesn't do anything. It really doesn't. It just makes it look pretty. That's about it. Corrosion comes from the inside the battery and out. So no matter what you spray on there, if it's going to corrode, it's going to corrode. All right, so that's all done. Let's close the hood. Get my battery tester out of here so I don't crush it. And I got my sockets, so there's nothing under the hood. All right. So now, I'm going to hook my scanner back up. I'm not sure, because I just learned this, this year, about how some cars, when you replace a battery, you actually have to tell the car, hey, I just replaced the battery, because it manipulates the charging system. So, all right, let's hook up my scanner, and I'm going to go from there. Now, when you have a push start car, meaning you have that push button to start it, some of them, you double tap them or whatever. Let me show you something, because a lot of people don't realize this. So here, we have the button here. So if you hit it once, see it says press brake to start. But if you hit it again, it just shuts it down. Well, okay, so how do you get it in run mode without it actually running? What you do is get it into the off position and press and hold. Okay, so now it's actually in the run position without it running. I never hit the brake pedal to start the vehicle. So, all right, let's go in here. Intelligent diagnostics. can see the pod down there is picking up the vehicle information, transmitting it. All right, Chevy, eat my socks. Dyke snot sticks. Okay, let's do the smart scan again. This might take a few minutes. Okay, still got a code there. Don't know why. Well, I got to see if it'll clear out now once this is done. It might not, and then we're gonna have to go further. But this this video, the essence of this video, is about battery voltage and how it can create a lot of problems. So let's let this thing go through. Hopefully it should be done in a minute. No reason for you to sit through all of this though. There we go. Road test went fine. No issues. So there, basically, I wanted to point out, you know, what did it come in for? The brake assist warning kept coming on. I can't get it to do it. And it had all those codes in it. It was starting fine. So it was a voltage issue. And remember, those codes wouldn't clear, and then they cleared. So sometimes you got to look beyond, like, the obvious, I guess, is maybe what I meant to say there. But, like, even clearing it out, when I saw that those codes wouldn't go away, and I was just like, I wonder, because you know why? Because I've seen it before. That's what happens when you've been around for a while. So yeah, sometimes, you know, it's not the obvious things. So a brake problem caused by the battery? Technically, yes. So, all right. Hopefully you got something out of that video. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.